I just had an epiphany, an aha moment, one of those profound thoughts, if you will, and I wanted to share it. You know, I spent most of my life feeling like an outcast. I spent most of my life feeling like I stood alone and I didn't really fit in with anybody, and because of that I got really comfortable with standing out. At least for a large portion of my life I did. When I was younger I used to do like the crazy things. I mean, for one thing, I was in the circus and I got to hang out with people that really were very comfortable standing out, and some of that rubbed off on me. And I also was raised by some people who were very comfortable standing out, and that rubbed off on me as well. And it gave me the most interesting life growing up. I used to do some of the most fascinating things, weird things, sure, somebody might say, but they brought so much joy to my life, you know? Like, I used to show up at school on stilts once in a while, just because I could. And I used to ride my unicycle to school once in a while, just because I could. And I used to just do all these things that nobody else did, and today I did something that most people wouldn't normally do, and it's made me so happy, it's made me feel so good, and it's got me so inspired to film videos and have ideas and all this interesting stuff. And it's just got me thinking about the flow of my life, because when I was younger, like in junior high school and even into the very early beginnings of high school, I was very comfortable standing out. I had no issue being the center of attention. I had no issue being the weirdo. I had no issue being the one that everyone was like, oh, what's that guy doing? But they were always slightly intrigued. But in high school it started to shift, you know. As so often happens, I started to get self-conscious. You know, I started to get very aware of what other people thought, and I started to have thoughts of, you know, what do I need to do to get these people to like me? What do I need to do to fit in? I started, for the first time in my life, really feeling like standing out, feeling like not fitting in was a bad thing. You know, I found myself doubting my uniqueness, and I found myself being very self-conscious, and that's where this profound thought that I had came from, because I spent so much of my adolescence changing who I was to try to fit in. You know, I very quickly in high school, you know, I never once rode my unicycle to high school. I never once showed up in high school on stilts, because I was afraid of what people would think of me. You know, I was always ostracized a little bit for the things I did. At least I always felt that way. You know, I had long hair before it was really cool for guys to have long hair. I was raised by a single parent a few years before that was cool. I was like, all this stuff happened, and it happened in my life, and then it wasn't until later that it caught on as fashionable or important or whatever, and I had long since moved out of those phases of my life, and I just stopped being comfortable being me and standing out and not caring what the world thought. So I started living my life more in a way to try and impress other people. You know, I got a job because I thought that's what you're supposed to do, and I worked very hard to be successful in business and in life, and I tried to impress girls by changing my personality, and I tried to do all these things to be somebody that I thought the world wanted to see. And ultimately what happened is it led me to some interesting places, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I rose through my career trajectory so much faster than most people do, and a lot of it I credit to that. And it gave me a lot of interesting experiences, but it robbed me a lot of things too, because a lot of those experiences were joyless. A lot of those experiences were done with the expectation of some payoff in the end. They were all done with some big payoff that I was supposed to get. I didn't do it for the enjoyment of being me or doing something that made me happy just simply for the sake of it. You see, I was to the point in life where I was no longer comfortable doing the things that made me happy just for the sake of it, because the things that made me happy made me feel weird, and made me feel like I stood out, and made me feel like people would notice me, and not in a good way, and it wasn't the kind of attention I wanted, and it just wasn't how I wanted to feel. And it led me to a very empty life. You know, I checked off all the boxes in life. You know, like I I worked hard. I got a high-paying job as quickly as I could. I worked my way up through the ranks. I then went off to a higher-paying job because I wanted to get a down payment saved up as quick as I could, because I thought once I had the house, then the world would accept me. And I got the house, and that wasn't the case. And I just kept chasing these things, thinking like, oh, if I get there, then I'll feel like I belong. If I get there, then I'll feel like I'll belong. And I always chased these directions in life, because and when I stop and I look back on it, I think it's all because I just craved a sense of belonging. I wanted to feel like I fit in for once, because like I said, I had gotten to a place where I wasn't comfortable being myself. I wasn't comfortable standing out anymore. But a couple of years ago, that all changed. A couple of years ago, I met a guy and his team and some of the people in his community who changed my perspective and brought me back to being more like I was when I was that kid, when I was younger, when I was totally comfortable standing out and being my unique self, and regardless of what anyone else thought. And it's been so fascinating since then, because I spent so long struggling. I spent so long trying to make things happen. I spent so long trying to seek out the right opportunities and trying to force things and make things work, and it never did. And it always felt like a struggle, and always left me unhappy and depressed and just in a bad state. But since I've started to rediscover that level of comfort with standing out, and that level of being okay, being unique, I've noticed that things have started to flow a lot easier. Pieces to the puzzle just seem to fall into place, and answers to the questions of life just seem to pop up, and it's just the most amazing feeling. And it's been going on now for almost a month. It's been a couple of years of development to get to this place where I'm finally starting to feel comfortable in who I am and what I do and how I do things and how I live and all of that stuff. But I feel like I'm finally starting to become comfortable with that, and it's yielding tremendous results. And I'm so grateful that I've been able to learn this lesson as young as I am, because I see people out there in the world who never have the opportunity to learn that it's okay to stand out. You know, I see people out there who never have the opportunity, or rather who never have the opportunity to unlearn the programming that they get when they learn that it's not okay to stand out. Because the truth is, young children are very okay with standing out, but at some point through most people's lives, they learn through some event or some trauma that it's not okay to stand out, and they spend the entire rest of their lives trying to blend in and fit in, and denying their own selves, denying who they really are, and denying the things they really want in life. And it leads to a lot of depression and a lot of lack of fulfillment and a lot of society's issues. You know, overconsumption and lack of satisfaction at work. And I mean, I could go on and on. They're not flowing to me right now, but there's so many things that it leads to. The point is, like, it's okay to stand out. You know, I look back through my life at the times when I actually felt like I fit in, and I can think of three chapters of my life where I thought, hey, these are my people, this is my tribe, and I belong here. Once was when I was in the circus. I didn't feel like I belonged completely, but it was the closest I'd ever really felt to belonging. And interestingly enough, it was with all the people who were most comfortable being individual. There was nothing about any of those people that made them the same in any way, and yet they all belonged together. And then when I got older, I went off to college and I went to get my landscaping ticket, and I discovered that landscapers are a very colorful group of people. It's just a trade that attracts some of the most fascinating people in the world, some of the most unique people that are just so comfortable being who they are and doing the things that they do regardless of what anybody thinks. And that was like the second chapter of my life where I really truly felt like I fit in and like I belonged with the rest of the group. And again, it was with this group of people that had nothing in common except for their occupation. You know, it was this group of people that was brought together mostly because of their uniqueness. It was with the group of people that didn't seem to belong, yet everybody seems to belong. And then now I look at my life as it is currently, and I feel like I belong. I feel like not just with the group of people I'm with anymore, I actually feel like I belong in the world. For the first time in my life, I'm gonna be totally honest, I think it's the first time in my life I've ever truly felt like I belonged and like I was supposed to be here and like I was doing something worth doing and important. It feels weird to say that out loud. It really feels weird to say that out loud, but it's true. I believe it 110% because now that I'm just being me and doing my thing and trying to make the world a better place, you know, now that I've become clear on what it is that I want to accomplish in this life, which is simply to make other people's lives better. That's it. That's all I want to do, and I can do that in a billion different ways, however I want. If it makes me happy and it makes them happy or their life better in some way, I'll do it. I don't care, I enjoy it. And I've been living life in accordance with my own self. I've been unapologetic. I've been saying no to people. I've been pushing back on people. I've stopped people pleasing. I've just started living for me because I suddenly feel comfortable standing out again. I suddenly feel comfortable being unique. I suddenly feel comfortable not fitting in, and suddenly, again in life, here I am in this situation where nobody really fits in. You know, look around at the world, nobody belongs. Everybody is just out there looking for somewhere that they belong, and nobody really does belong. But the people who find that sense of belonging, the people who find that sense of love and sense of joy, are the people who just realize that they all belong. That we all belong. That we're all just people doing the best we can to live the best life we can, and we're all at various stages and having various levels of success with that, and it's okay. It doesn't mean anybody doesn't fit in. It doesn't mean anybody doesn't belong. It just means some people have more work to do than others, that's all. And it's cool, and I'm just so happy that I've had that thought and that I'm lucky enough to realize how powerful this uniqueness is and this different lifestyle that I live is, because you know the real truth of the matter is the way I live could be very lonely. There are not a lot of people that do the things that I do. There are not a lot of people that live the way that I live. There are not a lot of people that understand the world in the way that I understand it, or that view it from the perspective that I view it. And the older I get, the more I'm realizing that I don't have to find people that are like me to fit in. I just have to find people that are totally them to fit in. And in order to fit in with people that are totally themselves, I have to be comfortable with being totally myself. And it's a powerful thing. And you know, you hear it from the time you're a kid. You hear it from the time you're just a little kid. People tell you, just be yourself, it'll be fine. Oh, you're shy, just be yourself, it'll be fine. Or when you go out on your first ever date, your parents tell you, oh, just be yourself. You're gonna be fine, just be yourself. They like you for you. And we hear it all the time, and then yet we spend our entire lives trying to be somebody else in the hopes of getting somebody to like us, and then nobody ends up liking us because everybody behind our backs is like, ah, they seem fake. And we all go around faking it and seeming fake for everybody, so nobody really likes us that much. I mean, it's a gross generalization, of course, but you see my point. Anyway, I want to encourage you to get comfortable being you, and get comfortable standing out, and get comfortable doing the things that other people don't do. For example, walking around in a public park, talking into a camera, trying to make people's lives better. You don't see a lot of people doing this, but you know what? The people who do are pretty happy, I think. It makes me happy anyway, and that's all I can hope for. Anyway, I hope you have a fantastic day, whatever it is you happen to be doing, wherever it is you happen to be in the world. I love you so much. Thanks for being here, and I'll speak to you again very soon.